So how
Yeah,
can we
so
think more like Leonardo da Vinci?
Leonardo was the ultimate whole brain thinker. I always say that he was the greatest genius the world's ever known. He just always was building out some part of his brain or learning something new and innovative to the point where he was hundreds of years ahead of um, the rest of the world. And so he just provides this unbelievable example for what you can do if you dedicate yourself to continuous learning and creativity and this idea of whole brain thinking. So my company has heard me for decades talking about Leonardo.
Welcome to Season 5 of Manage Self, Lead Others with host Nina Sunday. This season, we're going deeper into AI, innovation, and the invisible patterns that shape how we lead. Each episode, bold thinkers join us to explore how to lead with intention, elevate team culture, and stay future ready. The future of leadership starts with the questions we ask.
Forward-thinking and dynamic commercial design firm Ware Malcolm, headquartered in Irvine, California, with offices nationwide in the USA plus Mexico and Canada, is dedicated to delivering innovative solutions for their clients. Their diverse multidisciplinary approach offers innovative design solutions, seamless project management, and active community and industry engagement. My guest today is Chairman of Ware Malcolm, Lawrence Armstrong, also known as Larry, an acclaimed author, speaker, and artist. With a career over 3 decades, Lawrence is at the forefront of innovative leadership, guiding Ware Malcolm to national prominence. His unique approach integrates art, architecture, and business principles, providing a holistic framework for effective leadership. Lawrence's expertise and thought leadership have made him a sought-after speaker and consultant in business. Welcome, Larry Armstrong. The interesting thing, Larry, if I may call you that,
Yes,
is that we're doing a bit of an innovation series, multiple podcasts in the next 6 months or so. And I really would like to kick it off with your concepts of innovation and the whole background that you have of bringing art and creativity to commercial design. And also a lot of your influences, Leonardo da Vinci and Peter Drucker and, Theory Y companies, all those sort of things. So that's what I hope to speak about with you today. And I think I mentioned that the chapter 9 in your book that was about how to embed innovation in an organisation, I think that's really the area we can focus. Tell us about the layered leadership concept, which is the title of your book.
Yeah, okay. So the reason I called it layered leadership is that I think in layers, and as an architect, we tend to think in layers of space when we're designing and the observation of space. But whether it's the natural environment or the built environment, we tend to deal with layers of 3-dimensional space. And as I've built my career in architecture and also as an artist, I've explored that concept, and to me, it's an endlessly explorable concept. My art happens to be very abstract, modern type art, sometimes architectural, but it all explores this idea of layers.
Because part of the book talks about culture. So what you're saying is that it's multi-layered, and while you've got design and satisfying client needs, but you've also got the need to have innovation. That's another layer. And then you need to have buy-in from the people through culture. So is that sort of another way of describing the different layers?
Yeah, those are several of the layers for sure that go into building our company and really any company. It doesn't have to be a design business. I think these ideas and these concepts would work for any organization. It's just a different way of thinking. I think in a sort of a whole brain manner. Architecture is kind of a whole brain profession, and we've tried to develop the sort of the left and right side of our brains, and I try to inspire that sort of thought and learning all the time, continuous learning all the time, and working on your strengths, but also building out and working on the muscle of where you might not be as strong, and like maybe someone's very creative but they're not as analytical or math oriented, and so or vice versa. And I really encourage the development of both sides of the brain and continuous learning, and I think that's a big part of it too.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so how do you encourage continuous learning with your people?
I mean, our culture and how we built our business is based, one of the main strategies on helping people grow in their careers and maximizing their potential in their career. And so by doing that, we encourage inspirations from business books, and we have a big mentoring program and a coaching program, and we're a very connected company from the standpoint of getting together and sharing ideas and empowering people and giving people ways to take risks and empower them to do their best and learn and be able to make mistakes by encouraging them and understanding what their career goals are, and try to help them with learning and supporting them in reaching those goals for themselves, which in turn helps the company grow.
And of course, it retains good people, because good people will leave if they don't feel like there's a career path or that they can grow in your organization, which is great. So your background in design, did you do any courses? I mean, do you have architects on the team, or is it more, what sort of design people, what backgrounds would they have?
So we began, I'm an architect. I trained as an architect. And we are an architectural firm,
right?
And but we have many architects that work for us on the team. But we also have expanded our service offerings to interior design. So we have many interior designers and graphic designers and branding experts. And then civil engineering. We have 28 offices total, and 3 of them are in Canada, and a couple of them are in Mexico, and 1 in Brazil, and the rest are around the U.S.
So keeping multiple teams in different geographical locations, keeping them focusing as a team, and keeping the culture pretty standard in that, You talk about continuous improvement. If you don't have managers that are encouraging that they think it's all about output, it's not about growing the person inside. How do you kind of keep that standardization approach?
We've worked very hard on this kind of keeping the company connected in one team.
How do you define innovation? I mean, some companies think there's continuous improvement, which can be incremental, but there's innovation that is kind of almost restructuring. So it's kind of a continuum. So where do you sit on all of that?
It is a continuum. I would agree with that. And I guess, it's just part of our culture that we're always pushing to be out in front of in our industry. And we've encouraged our team to bring us ideas and concepts that we could implement that would continue to make us, put us in that position. And for example, one thing we've done for many years now, I think right after the Great Recession, we implemented an idea where we solicited ideas from the company in several specific categories. Some were like big ideas, some were more easy to implement incremental ideas, and we got over 1,000 responses. From all over the company, and people were pretty excited. And then we had a group of people that sorted them out and figured out what we should prioritize, and then we started implementing them, and it really changed our company for the better, and it gave the people, all of us, our people, a feeling like they're really contributing to making us better. as a company. And so we've continued that program over the years. We called it WM 3.0 and then 4.0 and 5.0. And, so we keep doing that. And some of the ideas are pretty big and it takes longer to implement.
In fact, when I've got teams to brainstorm some improvement, I get them to rate the low effort, high impact ideas and the high effort, high impact ideas. And then you kind of have to work out, well, if it's high effort, maybe we can chunk that down into smaller units and sort of work towards it that way.
We call everything WM, it's our initials of the company, Ware Malcolm.
Right.
The initial program was called WM 3.0. And
Right.
then subsequently it was, we had another round and another round. So it's 4.0.
And then you can go on forever.
Yeah, and I think we actually just changed it recently to WM Evolve.
And so you do talk about incentivizing innovation in your book. So that's one way to incentivize. Have you got other ways as well?
Well, I think that we always, as a company, I guess our culture is to incentivize our people to, do a great job. And so that can come from the day-to-day performance, and it can come from doing something additional, like coming up with an idea and then leading the charge to implement the idea, because obviously implementation is everything.
Oh.
Yeah, we've had a long-standing sort of incentive program in our company, and again, I think that it's the idea that we have a growth plan, we have a strategic plan, and that's kind of what this whole thing's about.
And so you also have to train your managers how to nurture ideas as they are suggested, because I know my own mistake when I was a junior manager is that we're busy doing stuff and people tell you on the run a really good idea and you say, well, I'm too busy to think about that now. But instead of, yes, you might be, but instead of just leaving it at that, you say, well, that is a great idea, but let's make a time to actually discuss it and explore it. Now, I really encourage anybody interested in innovation to read your book, because you do talk about some management styles.
I make a lot of references to business concepts and leadership concepts that have resonated over time. There's this idea of this top-down leadership or management. Actually, when it's so top-down, it's really not so much leadership as management. And then this idea of bottom-up idea as well. And I think really the sweet spot is it's sort of a combination, an artful combination of the two. I mean, the leader still has to make decisions. The leader has to have a vision for where we're going, and so that the company sees where we're going. But, empowering your people to build their careers, add value to the company, be excited about what they're doing. So for us, that's just baseline DNA in our company. And it's what's worked in terms of keeping people excited, growing their career, providing them opportunity to lead, because we'll have those positions open and we need to fill them, and we always want to fill them internally if possible. It's a whole cultural thing that it has to be real. It has to be, you can't just implement the business concept of the week kind of thing. This has to go to your DNA in what drives your company.
Well, also, it requires good recruitment. You want people that bring their discretionary effort to work, but also you want people that are thinking about, like the whole Kaizen principle is, it's not just doing the job, it's thinking about how to do the job better. So, it sounds like you've got the sweet spot of attracting those sort of people.
Well, I hope so. I think we've done a pretty good job with it. And to interest and keep the best people that want to do that, you have to provide the platform for them to do it. And otherwise, they're not going to be interested. So it benefits the company and it benefits the individual. And to me, and ultimately our clients, which, so it's all of us. And I think that's the way to do it, the way to achieve it. And it's worked really well for us.
And you do mention the 6 business books that were influential in evolving Ware Malcolm, and 2 of them were about thinking like Leonardo da Vinci. So how
Yeah,
can we
so
think more like Leonardo da Vinci?
Leonardo has been a source of inspiration for me well, I studied in Florence when I was in college, and so
Oh, well.
I think that's where I first discovered, Leonardo. But yeah, I mean, Leonardo was the ultimate whole brain thinker. I always say that he was the greatest genius the world's ever known. He was unbelievable. He was always curious about everything. He was always working on something where he wasn't as knowledgeable or strong so that he could be better. He's known as an artist, but he wasn't just an artist. He was a engineer. He was a military equipment designer. He was a great builder of relationships with his clients. He was super creative. He kept himself in great shape. He ate right. He exercised. He was strong. He lived a long life, and he just always was building out some part of his brain or learning something new and innovative to the point where he was hundreds of years ahead of the rest of the world. And so he just provides this unbelievable example for what you can do if you dedicate yourself to continuous learning and creativity and this idea of whole brain thinking. So my company has heard me for decades talking about Leonardo.
We only have 25% of all his works because 75% were burned because they
Yes.
just didn't, that at the time, we're talking 15th century?
Yeah, horrible thing. I mean, it just, we have a precious few. I mean, even though it's still a giant volume, if you look at all of his, sketchbooks and stuff, but yeah, there was a lot lost, unfortunately.
I went to a little Leonardo museum in Florence that had a lot of structures that were built. It was actually a short walk from my hotel, and that was amazing to go in there. So they had replicated a lot of his little designs. But
Yes.
we have had almost a Leonardo da Vinci last century, Buckminster Fuller.
Buckminster Fuller, sure, of course. He was pretty much a genius, and we definitely look up to him in the architectural world.
You talk about regenerative innovation. Can you explain that a little bit more?
The idea is here that you've got to keep it fresh all the time. You have to keep pushing. I have a friend who here in Orange County who runs this incredible startup business it's basically a unicorn, and he's a genius. And he said, people ask him about competition and that sort of thing, and really that's, I think, where this thing's grounded. It's like there's always competition. There's always going to be competition, and you have to, as a culture, you have to just keep innovating. And if you're any good, you get out in front of your competition, and then if you're any good, you continue to push and continue to innovate, and that drive to get better never goes away, so that you stay out in front of your competition all the time. And whether you can achieve that or not, that's the goal all the time. And so I think we've done a pretty good job of that, not letting our foot off the gas, because you get to a certain point, and now you can afford to go to another point and another. And I think that's what it is. You have to continuous growth, this continuous innovation. It's what makes it exciting to keep going.
Now, I don't know if you're a bit of a futurist, but can you see how AI is going to change things, or how your company will change through AI?
Our company has been in continuous change pretty much since I joined the company. But, and it's interesting because architecture and construction they're not on the forefront of the most. I mean, we're not tech companies per se.
Yes.
I said in the book, if in 2024, 2025, if you're not a tech company, you're not a company. But so we all have to be. But I mean, if you think about, the Romans built in concrete, and we're still building in concrete. Okay.
Right. So some things will stay.
There's so much opportunity to innovate within our profession and really any profession. So really, this is a broader conversation than just the architecture profession. But AI is going to, it's taking over everything. I mean, it's going to influence everything. And a couple years ago, our new CEO, Ken Wink, decided, we really needed to push on this AI and machine learning idea. And so he created a whole department that does only those things and develops processes and encoding for us to be able to optimize and automate our process. And so, in a field like architecture, which, architects have been around for thousands of years, there's still opportunity to innovate and stay out ahead.
No doubt. Well, surely the one of the biggest innovations was when they worked out how to build a skyscraper, and that was about the early 1900s. I mean, what did they discover? It was how to do a steel girder. What was the signature thing?
It was steel structure, and the crane technology and all that sort of stuff. But even that's rooted in Brunelleschi's dome in Florence from the 14th, 15th century.
Well, that's right. To even do a dome.
Yeah, which was a pretty innovative and amazing feat if you ever go see that building. But so I think that there's always room for innovating if you want to do it, if it's your culture to do it.
Now, just before we close, is there one thing you want to make sure we mention?
I want to encourage everyone, no matter if you're learning to be a leader, or you're building a business, or you're building a nonprofit, or it's a group of any kind. I think that layered leadership has a lot of things in there that can help. It's
an honor and a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Nina. It was great. Really enjoyed it.
My guest today was author of Layered Leadership, Lawrence R. Armstrong, or also known as Larry, chairman of Ware Malcolm. We were talking all things innovation and how to embed innovation into the culture, and how you can make sure that the whole team is aligned, even working from multiple offices. My name is Nina Sunday. I'm host of the podcast Manage Self, Lead Others, and remember to go to our Substack channel, ninasunday.substack.com, for behind-the-scenes conversations relating to episodes on Manage Self, Lead Others. Until next time, bye for now.
Manage Self, Lead Others has launched the book. It's available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. Not just a collection of transcripts, Nina Sunday adds her own reflections about each guest conversation. Plus, you might like to join Nina on her Substack channel, ninasunday.substack.com, for candid, behind-the-scenes conversations with two sharp AI hosts who riff, question, and bounce around ideas sparked by their published podcast episode. And if you're looking for a conference speaker or workshop facilitator who can up-level your team in Australia or around the world, visit brainpowertraining.com.au or ninasunday.com.